And it's funny, you mentioned something there as well, which is something similar that we do. I don't know if you do it in this way, but we use like Google Docs, and we're logging the different pieces of content that we have on the site and the keyword that we're optimizing for. And then we have almost like different columns where we mark depending on the promotion used for that particular page. Is that what you mean by, how much logging, what sort of traffic channels you are activating for those pages?
Well, that's more sophisticated than what I'm doing. I've just got a mind map that has most of the available options on it, and I just look at it and see if I've activated one. So, for example, I might look at pay-per-click, and I could just say, okay, have I got a search campaign? Tick. Have I got content network? Yes. Have I got banners and text in the content network? Have I put my negative list? Am I going for second-tier pay-per-click traffic? Am I going for CPV traffic? And I'll just tick the box. And I'll use my core words and my seed articles. And if I have extra content, I'll usually have pictures, audio, so that I can generate videos from it, or I'll have an interview or something like that I can make, or an Animoto video.
And you mentioned before, it's like you've almost got some default things that are done, and then it's like, depending on if you want to juice it up or not, you tick some of those other boxes.
Correct.
The default things that you do, to break that down, I suppose, to go really granular, what are the default things that you like to do?
Well, an article will always be posted to my blog and then submitted to article directories. And then there'll be separate blog comments linking back to the article from a blog network. There will be links purchased to link back to the post. So they're all default things.
Yeah.
The additional ones would be forum comments, press release, and say Google local submission, that sort of stuff.
Very cool. One thing that we sort of hadn't really dug too much into, I suppose we do it more where we are as far as selling links, and we do that through your text link ads. Interested to know, when purchasing links, what service you look at for that?
Well, I pretty much use Linkvana, and then I also have access to 2 private blog networks that are not publicly available, which I've cultivated. I have my own one, and I joint venture with someone else. I let them use mine, and I use theirs.
Very cool. And then are you monitoring, so you're doing this promotion, so you've got your default and that'll just roll out, and you're one I know who looks at your stats and that sort of thing. You're monitoring which keywords are obviously converting, and you did that also through some of maybe your pay-per-click initial testing as well. And then to decide which ones you're going to juice up further will depend on, is it evergreen, or are there any other triggers that make you go, right, I'm now going to look at your forum or your press release or your videos?
Yeah, basically when I find stuff that's converting, I just start to zone in more on it. And they'll identify themselves, especially with the paid marketing. If it's converting from paid marketing, it's a really good sign. You should leverage it out with free traffic as well.
Yeah, very cool. With all the different things that we've talked about, and I know there's so many different factors that make up, getting positions in Google, or any search engine for that matter. If you had to just say down to one thing, what the single biggest ranking factor is, what do you see with all of the testing that you've done as the single biggest factor when it comes to ranking sites?
Probably the page title.
Yeah. And then how do you do your page titles? If you obviously you've got your keyword in there, and is there any other things that you kind of do to get the most out of that page title?
Well, you have to put a call to action if you can. It should be a selling title because you're really going for the conversion. It's not enough just to be ranked at the top. It doesn't make any difference. If it doesn't compel people, it's useless. So that's where I had this big epiphany, and I split tested. I had 2 identical blogs, but slightly different mechanisms. And the one with the stronger call to action just blitzed it, and it was like 98 to 2 out of 100. It was so significantly different.
I think that's definitely one thing that I think makes you stand out from the crowd is the testing that you do. And I think testing is one of those things where that can be the difference between someone, making it really big versus, just sort of kicking along. Any other sort of...
Well, think of it this way, if you can increase your conversions by 2% and you're only doing 2%, it's like getting twice as much traffic. So it's worth looking at. And I'm not a testing freak, but it is worth considering, like being curious and having a look at behind the scenes and just see what is actually happening. You'd be surprised quite often how easy it is to get an improvement just by checking something out. It could be as easy as installing heat map tracking onto your site just to know where people are clicking.
Yeah, yeah. What do you use for sort of split tests as well? What are you using?
Well, I mostly just use Google Website Optimizer or a link rotator.
Very cool. Yeah, gotta love Google's tools, and they're all free.
They have great tools.
With some of the other things that you do, like you've got quite a lot of different link building mechanisms. For all of what you do, where would you identify, I suppose, the biggest bang for your buck? And you did say the importance of link diversity, and you don't want to just hone into one particular thing. But I'm curious to know of all the things that you've tested, where do you notice the biggest bang for your buck?
Well, I think in terms of conversions, then it's pretty hard to beat places like forum signatures and blog comments, because they're very targeted buyers. Like, it's super targeted. You can control where you place your link to a high degree, because here's a tip, you use the search tool in a forum and search for exactly the problem that your blog post solves and post in that thread. You'll get quite a lot of conversions.
Yeah, very cool.
And it's also, you're posting from a keyword related site.
So you get the good inbound link. With forums, because we've done a little bit of forums commenting and also blog commenting as well, what other sort of tips do you have? Because we didn't have a great success with it. The biggest reason being, we were trying to do it en masse, so we were using different assistants to do it, and we tried to get ones who, had at least had a grasp of the English language, but we weren't seeing a huge amount of traction for how much that we were spending, because sometimes you'd make a post. This was more so on blog commenting anyway, and then that blog comment may not have got accepted. What are your thoughts on there? Is that something that you're doing yourself, or you are outsourcing?
I do that myself. When it comes to my primary blogs, I post the comments, I post the content, I do the forum posting, because you have a lot of control and influence on that. When it comes to article distribution and buying links, you don't need to be involved with that so much, or submitting videos, because it's not going to change the process.
So I suppose to dig even deeper into that, when you sort of set out what you do for the day, what are the sort of tasks that you're really hands-on with? Are you doing...
Whatever has an urgent deadline. Just like the kid with homework.
Yeah. Like all jokes aside as well, like I know, because the way that you do business, it is quite structured, and you've come from that corporate background and you've sort of swapped over into the internet marketing world, and you're not doing everything yourself. Like there's no chance that you could be having the success that you are doing a lot of what you're doing. And you said all the article promotion and buying links gets outsourced. And then is it all the content generation, or what sort of other things grab your attention?
No, I don't generate content except for my premium blog posts. So all of my content is outsourced. My part of my traffic is outsourced. I outsource design, programming, some general administration, shopping. Like, it extends beyond the internet. You have you've got to try and outsource stuff around the house as well if you possibly can, just to free you up. Because a lot of people just get distracted and they're only spending 1 or 2 hours on their business, and it's usually distracting. It's usually 1.5 hours of going through emails, and if you're lucky, 10 minutes of doing anything to help you get traffic or conversions or create content. So that's where most people get stuck. It's just not enough time in on the game.
Yeah, all that sort of... I love that time management stuff. I know there's that great course, I don't know if you've listened to it, that Eben Pagan's got that Wake Up Productive, or even the Effective Executive by Drucker. That's a great book all on time management.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's...
Quote Drucker when I speak. He said it's about doing the right things, not doing things right, doing the right things. So, what I do every day is I focus on what's going to give me a massive result. So I can leave a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff's trivial. And at the end of the day, when you get right down to it, there are some things that are going to make a huge difference to your income, and there are other things that aren't. So I'm sort of always trying to focus on the most productive things. Even if I let some other stuff fall by the wayside, I don't get tied up in it. Like I might have a blog that's out of date or doesn't have some plugins updated or whatever, but it's not really as important as putting out the product launch where you're going to get commission today.